Hello, my friends. I am glad you are here. Take a slow breath. Let your shoulders rest. If you had a hard day, you can rest for a moment. We will be quiet together. We will listen to a calm story. Now let me ask you something simple. Have you ever wondered about exercise? Today it can look so small. A walk on a street, a few stretches beside a bed, a short workout in a room. It can feel private. But long ago, daily movement was not separate from life. For many people, it was life. It helped them get food. It helped them reach water. It helped them travel. It helped them stay safe. Over time, it also shaped work and power. Now let us go back, far before cities. People lived close to the land. Small groups moved across wide spaces. They watched the sky. They watched the ground. They listened for animals. They looked for water. Picture one ordinary day. Morning light comes slowly. The air is cool. A small fire is still warm from the night. Someone adds dry sticks to keep it alive. Someone checks a skin bag for water. A child rubs sleep from their eyes. An older person sits close to the fire, quiet and steady. Soon, the group begins to move. Not far at first. A short walk to gather wood. A careful climb to look out over the land. A trip to a stream, stepping around stones. Hands fill containers. Arms lift and carry them back. Even simple jobs use the whole body. A bundle of wood is heavy. A water bag pulls on the shoulder. Food must be carried back. Children must be carried too when their legs get tired. Later, there is more movement. A hunt or a search. Feet go over dirt and grass. Bodies duck under branches. Eyes stay sharp. If danger appears, the group must react fast. In that world, no one said, "Now I will exercise," but bodies practiced all the time. They learned balance on uneven ground. They learned to lift and throw. They learned to run and stop. They learned to keep going when the day was long. Children learned this without lessons. They copied what they saw. They ran in short bursts. They wrestled in the dust. They threw small stones at a mark. It looked like play, but it was also practice. Adults practice too, not with a plan on paper, with habit, with repetition. A person who carried more could help more. A person who moved quietly could hunt better. A person who could run longer could survive. Now time passes and life begins to settle in some places. People stay near good land and water. They plant seeds. They wait. They harvest. They keep animals close. They build homes that last. Life becomes more settled, but it is not easy. It changes the kind of movement people do. In a village, the same work comes back each day. Fields must be turned. Water must be lifted. Grain must be carried. Seeds must be stored. You can picture another ordinary scene. A stone hand mill sits near a doorway. Someone kneels and turns it again and again. Grain becomes flour. Arms feel the steady burn. Nearby, a clay jar waits for water. A basket waits for vegetables. A rope is used to pull a load. This is not sport. This is not leisure. This is life. But it builds strong backs and steady legs. It trains endurance day after day. Now villages grow and roles begin to change. Not everyone does the same work anymore. Some make tools. Some shape clay into pots. Some repair roofs. Some watch animals. Some guard gates. And here movement begins to split in a clear way. For many people, movement is still work, But for some people, movement becomes practice on purpose. Practice means repeating a skill to get better. It can be throwing, it can be wrestling, it can be running together, it can be learning to hold a weapon steady. Why does this kind of practice grow? Because groups begin to compete. Land matters, water matters, stored food matters. And when these things matter, conflict appears. So training grows beside daily life. You can imagine an open yard near a wall. Young men run short distances. They stop and start on a call. They lift shields. They learn to stand close. They learn to move as one. This kind of exercise is not only for strength, it is also for order. It helps a group act together. Now the world opens in a new way. People do not only stay near one river or one field. Some families move to find safer land. Some leave after a dry season. Some follow work. Some follow trade. And when people move, they carry habits with them. They carry how they walk long distances. They carry how they carry weight. They carry how they rest, then start again. They carry small tricks that make travel possible. Picture a moving family on a simple path. A bundle is tied with rope. A child holds a small pot close to the chest. An older person uses a stick for support. They stop to drink. They stop to fix a strap. They check the sky, then keep going. After many days, they reach a new place. They build again. They plant again. They trade with neighbors. Neighbors notice their ways of traveling and carrying. Some copy them. Some add their own ways. Over generations, these habits spread. Now paths become routes. Routes become roads. On these roads, strangers meet more often. Goods travel, but ideas travel too. A new way to pack a load. A new way to tie rope. A new way to rest at midday and keep moving. A new way to train young people for long travel. Picture a market day again. A wide open space, small stalls, baskets of grain, cloth folded neatly, salt in small piles, metal tools shining in the sun. Voices rise and fall. Hands exchange goods. A traveler arrives with dust on their shoes. A guard stands near a gate, watching. A porter bends, lifts, and walks again. A messenger moves fast, weaving through people. In a place like this, you can see many kinds of training. Some training is quiet. The porter learns how to carry weight without falling. The messenger learns how to keep a steady pace. In a port town, the sailor learns how to pull rope and climb. Other training is public. A crowd gathers to watch wrestling, or a foot race, or a throwing contest. People cheer, but they also learn what is respected: skill, endurance, control of the body. Now picture a travel day on a long road. The sun is already warm and the load is already heavy. A cart creaks and leans to one side. A person checks the rope and tightens a knot. Another person lifts a bundle and feels the weight pull down. They start walking, step after step, keeping a steady pace. Feet hit hard ground. Dust rises and sticks to sweat. When the road climbs, breathing gets louder. When the road drops, knees take the shock. A hand reaches back to steady the load again. They stop in the shade when they can. They share a small piece of bread. They drink a little water. They rub a sore shoulder, then lift the load again. They do not call this training, but the road trains them. It teaches endurance. It teaches balance. It teaches patience. It teaches how to keep moving when the body wants to rest. And because people like this keep going, trade keeps flowing. Towns grow. Roads become busier. Ways of moving spread even more. Now larger states and empires grow.
They want steady work and steady control. They build walls and buildings. They guard roads. They gather soldiers. So training becomes more organized in many places. A group drills in the same yard each day. They learn to march. They learn to hold a line. They learn to respond quickly to a shouted call. This changes history in a quiet way. A trained group can travel farther. A trained army can fight longer. A trained force can protect trade routes or take them.
Now we must step into a harder chapter, gently and honestly. Because training and movement were not always chosen. In many places, the hardest physical life belongs to the lowest people. They carry stones for walls. They dig channels for water. They haul timber. They push heavy loads. Picture a line of workers moving stone. An overseer watches. The work does not stop when they are tired. Their bodies grow strong, but they do not control the day. Even soldiers are sometimes trapped by the same truth. Some are taken young. Some have no other path. Some are punished if they refuse. Training can be harsh. It can break bodies. It can create fear. There is a calm truth here. Practice can help a person become skilled, but practice can also be used by rulers. When people are forced to drill, they learn to obey as much as they learn to fight. They learn to move on command. They learn to stand, march, and push through pain for someone else's plan. Over time, movement begins to show a person's place in society. You can see it in simple details. A worker may carry stone from sunrise to sunset because someone orders it. Their body becomes strong, but they do not choose the work. A person with higher status may ride a horse, practice with a weapon, or play games. They train, but they can stop when they want. They have more rest. They have more time. So exercise is no longer only about strength. It also becomes about freedom and choice. When someone controls your day, they can control how your body moves. Now the long road continues into the modern world. Tools improve. Work changes shape. And then machines grow more powerful. At first, machines do not bring rest for everyone. In many places, they pull people into new kinds of labor. Factories rise, cities swell. The work changes again. In a field, the body moves in many directions. In a factory, the body may repeat one motion all day. Picture a worker standing inside a loud room. The air is close. A line moves. Hands reach, place, and pull. The same action returns again and again. Feet stand on hard ground for hours. The shoulders tighten. The neck grows stiff. This is still physical, but it is not balanced movement. It is narrow, repeated movement. At the same time, travel becomes easier for many. Carts and trains carry more. Goods move faster. People walk less for daily needs, especially in growing towns. Then another shift arrives, slow at first. More work becomes seated work. A person wakes and sits at a table. They sit again on a bus or in a car or on a train. At work, they sit under lights, looking at paper or a screen. At lunch, they sit again. Later, they sit in a meeting, then sit once more to go home. The day can feel full, but the body does not travel much. The legs feel heavy in a quiet way. The back feels tight. So some people begin to look for movement on purpose. They walk around a block. They stretch beside a chair before the day ends. In the evening, streets can be bright with lights. Stores are open. People move from building to building. But many trips are short now. A lift replaces stairs. A door opens with a button. A delivery arrives instead of a long walk. So a small decision becomes common. A person puts on simple shoes and goes out to move. Or they stay inside and follow a quiet routine on a mat. It is not travel, and it is not farming. It is chosen movement, made to fit a modern day. Now we reach a strange point in human history. Many people can survive with very little daily movement. Food can be bought, water can come through pipes, heat can come with a switch. Work can be done with hands and eyes more than shoulders and legs. So exercise changes again. It becomes something many people choose on purpose, not because the day demands it, but because the body still needs it. This is how we get the modern workout: a planned walk, a run on a path, a room with weights, a class with counted movements, a simple routine before work or after work. Machines enter exercise too, but in a new role: a moving belt to walk on indoors, a wheel to pedal while staying in one place, weights measured and shaped for repetition. And even now, not everyone lives with the same ease. Some people have safe places to walk, some do not. Some people have time, some do not. Picture two evenings. One person walks in a quiet park with lights and a smooth path. Another person walks beside fast traffic on a narrow road. Both are moving, but their days are not the same. Their choices are not the same. So exercise still carries two stories at once. One story is personal care and strength. Another story is work and uneven life. Now let us return to you, quietly, in the present. When you hear the word exercise today, you might picture a small private moment. That is real, but it is also part of a long human path. It connects you to many ordinary lives. A person carrying water back to a camp, step by step. A farmer lifting a basket at harvest, again and again. A family walking to a new place after a dry season. A porter on a long road keeping the load steady. A messenger moving through a gate, trying to stay fast and steady. A sailor pulling rope near a busy harbor. A worker inside a crowded room, repeating the same motion for hours. These people lived in different times, but their days share one simple thing: the body had to move. And that movement shaped work, travel, and daily life. Across time, the shapes changed, the reasons changed, the meaning changed. But the human body kept moving through history, one day at a time. So when you take a walk, let it feel simple. Let it feel calm. And if you want, let one quiet thought follow you. This ordinary movement has been with humans for a very long time. It helped people live. It helped people travel. It helped people build. It was used for pride and sometimes for control. And now it is here, in your day. Small, normal, quiet, still part of the long story. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. Share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.